welcome to my channel. Well, if I sniffle and stuff like that, it's early in the morning, the wind's blowing and everything else, but I'm going to call this one Random Ramblings because I've got a lot of stuff I was thinking about in my head, and I thought, you know what, I might as well make a video on this, give people an update of what's going on. All right. So, most of it's just going to be rambling and stuff, but there are a few things that I'll be talking about and showing. So, this thing, the way I ramble, it'll probably go about 20, maybe 30 minutes at max. And that's just because of, it's not because of your attention span. Some people, can watch this for a little bit, hit pause, and, go about and do other things, and then come back to it. That's no big deal. But I don't set these rants and rambling videos up to be short ones unless I can get a short rant gone out of my system. But here was the inspiration for that post thing, I just got the idea from this. Their post is a little bit thinner and smaller, which is pretty good. And you see they just cut a hole and then they make a split to allow the leather to expand. You can learn things from stuff like that. Mine, I just did a split again, but I had a bigger hole to deal with. And this is thinner material, so I didn't want to get too carried away with it, but it works fine for what it needs to do. So a lot of the stuff sometimes is just not necessarily discovering it on your own, but sometimes reinventing the wheel. Because often, like with leather working lately, I haven't been watching a lot of videos on leather working and making. Even though I could learn stuff from watching them and everything, I kind of want to learn this on my own in a way. I can get hints and help, and tips and stuff like that, but some of it is just problem solving, like you have an issue, you have a problem. Like with this guy, it wasn't a cross draw that I had it in. I actually had mounted it like this and was doing a neck carry upside down with the Koboon, which is a fairly long handle. I mean, just the handle itself is usually the size of most neck knives. And then you add the sheath to it and all this other stuff. But basically what I found out is no, you don't want to do that. Or it didn't work that well for me. But my problem was that the Kydex sheath with this one that it comes with, I mean, Securex sheath, it's a pull retention thing, which I like, the snap or the pull retention. Well, I had this guy as a neck knife underneath my shirt, so I didn't realize that it was being retained by this. My hand grabs onto this, and I just pull. Man, I didn't have a breakaway thing on. I had a paracord thing on my neck. I didn't have a breakaway thing on it, so I started pulling and going. I'm thinking, when is this snap gonna break? When I realized, when is your neck gonna break, you idiot? Something's going wrong. And that's when I pulled these are just press fit on you hammer them on. You can either hammer on, there's a little anvil-like shape, There's a thing that protects the back here, and you just hammer them on. I mean, they make little crimping things and stuff like that, but this works well because I'm not mass producing a lot of them. But when I yank down like that, first off, this, even though it looks flimsy, it held this knife in. It wouldn't let it come out at all. I mean, it didn't give it all. But what did give was the retaining, you can see the little ring there, the retaining snap gave. And I could have put another one in there, and I still can, but I wanted to experiment with, the button retention method. And I like that because I already had this hole poked in this joker right here, and I was just looping. It was just not reinforced or anything. I was just looping cord through there and wrapping it through the handle. Well, now I tried some shock cord, but this black up here is I dropped some wax, the end of a shock cord wax on it. I also burnt myself. That stuff's like napalm when it's burning. You know, it'll drip and burn and flame and smoke. But I was singeing the end, and that's when that happened. But I'm persistent, you know. I didn't have a long enough piece, even though I've got more and everything. I had a piece that would almost fit, and so I'm stretching it, and I'm trying to make it fit. But the idea is you just tie a knot here with shock cord, and you make a loop right here, and then you could just pink, 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 and it'll retain this. Because that's the only thing about this sheath is they have a friction fit that's not got that much friction. They should have brought this further out and had the handle go deeper into the knife if they want to make it friction fit. I like joker knives. I'm not complaining about it too much because every problem for me is an opportunity to try to problem solve and fix it. And I try to find a way to fix it. And if I do, I try to pass it on to other people, you know. So if you get this knife, all you got to do is punch a hole in there, get some of these little screw down type of things. You don't even need to get a screwdriver in there. But see, that guy looks really small. But a Victorinox Explorer, the screwdriver on it, you look at it and you go, this guy's blunt, you know, there's no way he's going to fit. That fits that perfectly. That fits in there perfectly on that. You don't need it, you know, like I said, for this. You just friction fit them in there, you put your finger in there, tighten it. So, you know, that's part of that. So I've got a lot to talk about, and I ramble on. So as I run into things, I'll talk about them. All right, the Ulti clip on the Secure X. Yeah, I still use this sheath because when I'm carrying this thing in this sheath, this knife is the defensive knife. Its task is to pull out, and the only thing it's going to cut is whoever's on me or, you know, trying to attack me, whatever the defensive reason is. You know, you don't necessarily, sometimes just the display of a knife, you can't count on that, but just the display of the knife, excuse me, just the display of a knife, if it's bigger, you know, like Crocodile Dundee, you call that a knife. Now this is a knife. Not just showing off, but I mean, if you're determined to use it and the other people were not, and that's all you got, first off, it's a last-ditch thing. So if you're at the point where you're going to display a knife, that means that you're hesitating. You're not using it right then. A lot of times, my thought with a knife is, if you're down to using a knife to defend yourself, they're really close. They're close enough to touch you, you know, because they have to be, you know, for you to pull out a knife. If they're beyond close enough to touch you range, then the knife might just be a way of saying, hey, you know, don't come any closer. My knife's bigger than yours. You don't want to get cut. Because in reality, if it's knife against knife, usually both of them, a lot of times, are going to get cut, no matter how good you are. It's not like in Hollywood. A knife fight is usually, like I said, one-sided. One side has a knife, and the other side has another kind of weapon, or, you know, the force of numbers or whatever. But getting back to this Ulti clip, they're kind of expensive because they're the ones that made this and everything. They're the ones that first came out with it. I'm sure there's going to be copies, and there are, but this is like $15 for one. Now they make a slim. This was a 3+, but they make a slim that would have fit this better. But I just put spacers in there. The thing about this is, I'm really enjoying this because it gives me another carry method, another carry position. Now tightening that down did make this retain this a little bit stronger. It still can pull out, but it's stronger. I mean, that's it all the way down. And when you pull on it, you can see there's quite a bit of force coming out of there. With this clip, you don't need a belt. You can clip it to a cargo pocket. Now, usually a cargo pocket, the problem with that is they're big, they're loose, and they're wide. But if you've got a long blade and you've got it clipped in there in a position where however you like to have it, let me see. See that? I have it like this, like a forward cant. So when you're sitting down, it's leaning forward. Ignore the dirty floor. I know there's going to be some people saying, oh, your floor is dirty. Let me stand up. All right, so it's sitting like that, right? So it's right here with your hand. And even though, like I said, cargo pocket is flimsy and everything, all that force, it still retains the knife in its position. And you can clip it on a belt, for any cross straw or whatever. All you just have to do is decide which way you want the blade facing, the edge facing. Let me pause this. Which way you want the edge facing when you pull it out. So if you want it where it's coming out with a normal grip like this, then you want it on this side. But if you want it coming out edge first and you grab it for reverse style grip, then if you want the sheath to stay inside the pocket, you're going to have to reverse this clip. And the sheath staying inside the cargo pocket helps stabilize it, because a lot of times if you've got a big knife or something like that in a cargo pocket, let's say it's a Leatherman Wave or something, a multi-tool in a pocket, and the pocket is low enough that it goes, like mine, the cargo pocket at the bottom, it goes below the bottom of my knee. So anything big and heavy in there just starts banging the back of your leg and your knee, and that gets annoying real quick. But with this, it carries well in all positions. I like to test them out to see what carries out in all positions, like standing up, sitting down, laying down, if you happen to do that, prone or laying on your back. All the normal positions you would do, How does your carry thing work like that? Like a neck knife, they work all right if they're tucked underneath a shirt or something like that. But if they're out in the open and you lean forward, this is going to bump around. And if the length of see, that's where it's just adjusted it. If the length of the neck knife is short enough, it won't go out as far, But the longer you have it, the easier it is. If the way you're going to access your knife, you're concealing it, it's under a shirt, you have to reach under. So if it's way up there, you're going to have to reach under your shirt a lot further than if it was just out in the open. So yeah, a lot of this is just personal preference. All right, let's get to this. Why have I got all these magnifying glasses out? Well, even if you don't get older, it's a good idea to have a magnifying glass with you. So that's why I usually carry this little Explorer with me, because it has a magnifying glass. And this was sent to me, and it is fantastic, man. So you look at it, and it's like a big Fresnel lens. Don't be worried if you're mispronounced it, because it's a French word, and most of my life I pronounced it as the way it's spelled, Fresnel. I always call it, this is a Fresnel lens, but no, it's a Fresnel lens. All right, so it folds out. It's got all these pretty secure clicks in it. And it ratchets around. Let me pull up a little bit higher. It ratchets around so that you position it. It's got like a 4 or 5 inch focal range. So we'll examine Jimny Jiminy is having some surgery here. You know, I can do surgery on him. I can take a match. I can set this leg on fire and that leg on fire and weld them back together. But I don't know if we're gonna have a Franken cricket. Maybe we might. All right, so you know it's got a fixed magnification. Let me get these legs straight. It says it's best to have it, you know, on a flat surface, and you adjust that the way you want. But it's also got a built-in light. It's got a cool white and a warm white in there, and they both come on at first. If you hold the button down, you can change the intensity to, you know, all the way off or ramp it up. Click it again, it comes to the warm white. Let me turn this light off of the camera. And click it again, it's that cool white, and the third click is off. And each level is, you know, comes on high and is adjustable. This thing comes out, it slides out. So you can use it, you know, without the stand. You're like, all right, we got to zoom in now. Where's the damage? You know, let's look at all his wounds here, his battle wounds. So yeah, you can do that. This comes in handy. It's a stand also, you know. It also serves as like a source of light if you're working on something and you don't need the magnification. Let me get this back in here. Let me pause this. All right, so let's look at the LED side of it. So yeah, it slides out, and there's your access to. Right now, it's probably brighter with alkalines in there, but I've got NiCads. So this is 1.5 volt. Those are 1.2s, and their EBLs are not as good as the Nikon basics, but I mean they're okay. They just don't have the same capacity. They don't do their rated capacity on their batteries. That's all I'm saying. They're okay, but yeah, you can use this with the stand, like on a tray. Now let's look at it with also some other material. This comes in handy when because if you get older, sooner or later you're gonna need magnification, especially fine print shit, crap like that. For example, like these down here. You know, it says, what does this say about maintenance? Regularly apply a couple of drops of oil to the pivot for smooth action on your fixed blade. A drop of blue Loctite on the screws on your pinned-in handles will prevent them from loosening. That's a little knife humor there. All right, but you can look at things like you're examining a lock, you know, and you're like, wow, how's this thing work? What kind of key is that? You know, and there you're going to need more light, but you can see kind of like the levers. It's 6 levers. They call these pancake locks. But they're pretty cool. I got into, all right, we'll start getting into another topic, which is tangents, getting off into tangents. You know, you can find a bunch of different things, and that an example of that was with the neck knife video I just did, the last one, you know, how it started off with neck knives and it's winding up with tanto blades, which I'm getting into and everything. And I've been into before. I've got another one I'm trying to find, which is it's like a little machete that I got paracord wrapped, but it's got a tanto blade on the end. I use it for cutting brush and stuff like that. But with AAA batteries in here, what's good about this is they're rechargeable. So, you know, I can put whatever I want in there. Turn off. We'll turn my light back on. All right, but you can get into a different tangent, you know, just like that got me into leather, you know, and that's a good thing because a lot of stuff was repairs. Otherwise you'd have to buy another sheath, or this would have been $20 for me to replace that. $20 might not be a lot to a lot of people, but this knife right here, it came perfectly fine for upside down carry, and I idiotically loosened it. I wanted to loosen it so that it would come in and out easier. And it defeats the whole purpose of being upside down, where you can still carry it right side up. Now I can fix that. I can put a little rivet. Now you got to make sure, because this is a good blade here, it's wide down there, so you got to make sure that whatever you do keeps this original path down here. But I can tighten this up by putting something, again, I can't get too tight, but I can tighten this up and this area up if I want. It's just something to work on, branching out. So one of the things you can branch out on is pins. There's a lot of them. Accessories for your EDC accessories. You can get a Kydex sheaths. You can get it different kinds of handles. Sky's the limit. Some things, are completely different sections, like leather crafting. If you're doing handles on wood, there's wood crafting. I mean, there's all different kinds of things that can pop up on those. But this is as far as I'm going to go with pins and stuff. Here's a Fisher Space pin, so I might get another version of it, but this is the Apollo 11 anniversary. Let's look at this under magnification, shall we? This is the Apollo 11 50th anniversary pin. It has, mainly I wanted that cartridge in there, but this is also, you just push down on this. It's easy to access. It's like a normal click pin. Olight had their sale. I've got a green one hiding around here. That was another topic. I'm getting pressed for time, but there's a green one hiding around here somewhere. Up until about 2 minutes ago, I couldn't even find this one. But I like the compactness of this one, and I already got refills for the other pin, so if and when I do find it, this comes in handy in my pocket, because a lot of times I got a shirt pocket or something up top, and one of these big long ones gets in the way, whereas this is more compact. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to go for $250 titanium ones, or super fancy. If you want to do that, that's fine. That's as far as I go with these. I don't even have the regular O pin with the light and all the other gadgets on it. Normally I would, but I'm kind of like out of flashlight stuff as much now, because I'm starting to look at it as I've got plenty of flashlights. And my issue with flashlights now is just like with knives. I've got so many, I've got to rotate them to even use them. A lot of times I look around like, God, I've got a lot of flashlights. I mean, it's nice to have. I'm not complaining. I like them, but I mean, I'm not chasing the latest version. And it seems like China's backing down. That was another topic I was going to talk about. China, like a lot of people are talking about Chinese knives, and they're junk and everything. You better enjoy that stuff while you can. I'm telling you, because all it takes is China to decide to take Taiwan, because it's already been recognized as, in some places as Taiwan is China, diplomatically and everything. So they've just been cool with leaving it there, but there's been a lot of stuff about them wanting to invade, or take it back over. And if that happens, guess what? We're probably going to support China, America, and that will mean we'll probably cut back on all, we get a lot of stuff from China. All Chinese imports, and then they would start realizing, whoa, we're going to have to allow some things. We need some things, from them. But all it would take is a war, and that's not far off. That seems to be very popular in 2024. 2024 is a year for war. It's been happening more before that, and there's always been wars, but it just seems like the option lately, for a lot of people. It's like, hey, why don't we just do a war? Because it's bad. It's bad. War bad. War bad. All right, so yeah, I got that topic, which is because a lot of things are going to be starting to be made in other countries that have, guess what, cheap labor and less laws than America. Because really, American knives and stuff are always going to cost you double or triple, just like razor blades. I was getting single edge razor blades, all right, on Amazon. You can get all different kinds of brands, 100 pack of them, single edge razor blades for around $6 or $7. If it's U.S. made, which a lot of times they'll try to scam you on that. Well, one said America line, or something like that, and you look at it, and they're made in Mexico. Well, that's another cheap source of labor, easy for us to use, is Mexico manufacturing. It's right there, you know. Mexico's got their own laws with labor laws and stuff, so you don't have to do that. The labor is cheaper. It's usually pretty skilled. You know, they're fairly easy to train and skill. Spanish is a lot easier language to learn than Chinese. I can tell you that right now. So there are a lot of advantages to that. Then there's Vietnam, India, and Pakistan. Pakistan makes a lot of stuff, and all it would take is access to good quality materials and someone tell them, hey, you know, while you're grinding that thing on the floor, you know, with your underage labor or whatever, we're not so much worried about the underage labor. We're worried about the heat treatment on that knife. It's getting too hot. And you should quench it more often. Or you should do a final heat treatment after all your processing, you know, just so that, hey, when it comes out of the factory, it's good. You know, that's all it would take. Just a few little tweaks here and there, because those people are basically craftsmen. They're doing stuff, and they're just working with what they've got. If you give them, and you don't necessarily need super steels and all that stuff, but anyway, that's just one thing. There's always going to be a cheaper source of labor than within your own home country. And it all depends on how much it costs you to get that, with the, you know, import fees and tariffs and laws and restrictions and everything else. And it all comes down to personal choice, really. My choice has always been quality versus cost. All right, I don't care where the country is. If it's making good quality knives and they don't cost a super ton of money to get, then yeah, I'm going to try them. Just like cheap candy. You know, if you come into a store and you're a kid and it's a candy store and everything is like a penny for a piece of candy, well, you're going to try a lot of different kinds, you know. The nickel ones, well, it's got to have a little bit more bling to it. It's got to be a bigger size. It's got to be better quality or something like that. And it just keeps going up. As the more the price for the candy is, it reaches a point where it's just decadence. You know, it's like truffles or something. You know, they're hunted down by pigs. That's a different kind of truffle. But there'd be like chocolate-covered ones and stuff like that. Cost you tons of money for it, you know. And yeah, it's more like a taste for the rich, an acquired taste, you know. And that's out of my league because I'm not rich. But I like finding value in inexpensive knives and stuff. All right, I'm at 28 minutes, so you better. I had a list and I buried it somewhere, but I don't need a list. All right, the only last thing is that a catch-22 that I've got coming up is my birthday's coming up. That's also when my driver's license expired. Now, normally I can renew it online, but I can't, I guess, because of my age. And then here's the catch-22. My glasses are messed up. So yeah, I should be able to get another pair of glasses. Well, then I've got to drive to the driver's license office, which is in Waxahachie. It's further away from me. Also, my birthday is this total solar eclipse, where our population is going to go from around 20,000 to as much as 200,000. You can expect all kinds of outages, and they said the traffic is just going to stop on the freeway when they have I-45 and stuff. People are just going to stop because it's going to get dark for a while. Like 4 or 5 minutes, you know, of totality, of total, you know, darkness and everything. But still, So that's kind of off me getting that done on that time. I don't really need a driver's license much for that much, but it's mobility. When you get older, it's mobility. It's sometimes it's physical mobility, sometimes it's transportation. It gets restricted. Like even if my car, if my vehicle, even if my driver's license was valid, I'd still need inspection sticker and all this other stuff. And I mean, it's drivable, it's safe, but I don't trust it, because I know it's not legal. I've got insurance on it, but I know it's not legal. That I could get a ticket, and I can't afford a ticket. So that's the big catch-22 on that one. I can get my sister to drive me down to the driver's license office, and I may not need to get glasses because if I position the glasses I've got on my nose just right, uh, I can see well enough to see to read an eye chart. So there's that. There's always something, around. I try not to panic too much. Just roll with what life throws at me. But yeah, and the last thing I wanted to talk about was losing things and finding things, but we kind of covered some of that, going off on a tangent. I'm just looking at my notes. Knife carry position, kind of covered that with the ulti clip. The magnifying light. And the last thing would be the live streams and why I'm not able to do them. YouTube did an upgrade to it, and I'm running through the YouTube app on my phone, and I tried it again the other night, and so my temporary fix for that is going to be once a week. I'm going to still try to have a premiere. All right, it won't be like an interacting as much on a live stream would be, but it's going to be a premiere. And I may try, forced to, I may try just like a shorter version of the TikTok screen. What I call TikTok screen is when you go like this. I don't know how your screen just did, but it's going to look weird. Used to be it was easy to fix that in the application. It just had a more button. Now it's just like, you want to go live? It's like, you're live. Like, no, what about horizontal versus vertical? They're really pushing that. But anyways, I've talked too long. So there you go. That's what's going on with me. Be sure to check out the latest giveaway. I think it's Wednesday I'm going to do it. And, yeah, so thank you for watching and have a nice day.